So I was about to start and I had a thought. Before I get into the ingredients, it's important to know your jars. When you're canning, depending on what you're doing, there's a large selection of jars. We have some of them right here. So from left to right, this is a half pint. This is typically used for jellies, jams, fruit preserves. You got a pint jelly jar, which is a little bit different than a regular pint jar. Then you got your wide mouth pint jar, quart. I don't have one here, but they also make a wide mouth quart jar. And then this is a half gallon wide mouth. So they do take different rings and different lids. I got some lids in here so you can see the difference. So these are old lids, but they're still good lids. They haven't been used. That's the important part. Never reuse a lid. The bands, on the other hand, can be reused. You got your regular bands and your wide mouth bands, and then you got the lids. Don't know why that did that. So you want to have the right ones for the right jar. Now, as far as the bands go, you can get them in the standard metal, or you can get them in different colors, patterns, and whatnot. Typically, these I only use if it's something spicy. Typical would be our jalapeno bread and butters, or sweet and spicy bread and butters, depending on what you want to call them. But that's a quick rundown of the jars that we use. There's a couple others. We got some that are smaller than the half pints, and like I said, there's some that have the wide mouth and the quarts, but typically we don't use those. What I'm going to be using today is the wide mouth pint jars. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of all fine salt. Cup kosher salt, we're going to go about halfway. Two and a half cups of vinegar. This is just off the shelf white vinegar. So 2.5, if we go 50% more, that would be 1 1/4. So we'll go 1 1/4. That's 2 3/4 or 3 1/4 cups of vinegar. And we're going to do the same amount of water. So 3 1/4 cups of water. Cups. There, we're going to bring that up to a simmer. We're going to bring it up to high and let those combine. I'm going to put this off to the side. And we're going to move my camera away from the hot flames. So the original recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper divided. So 1 teaspoon. You know what? This isn't baking. This is cooking. Both my wife and I like spicy things. So 1 teaspoon across 4 would be a 1/4 teaspoon each. So I know we just put 1/4 teaspoon each in. 1. All right, now for the pickle crisp, optional, talk a 1/4 teaspoon of pickle crisp. Is it for the whole thing or per quart jar? So we're doing pints, so we're going to take and just sprinkle a little bit on each. And dill. We haven't grown our own dill yet, so. Oh, that smell. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pluck one of these off. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're gonna stuff some dill in here. Apparently I was missing. So where was I? Stuff in there. Maybe next year we'll grow our own dill. Some of you might be asking why we're not preheating our jars. And part of the reason I'm not preheating the jar is because we're going to put them in when the water's cold and bring it up to a boil. And it's been my experience, if a jar breaks, it wasn't going to seal well anyways. So save that little bit of dill. Maybe we'll make some pickled eggs later. Sounds like water done. All right. Now we got it all dilled. Garlic, 4 cloves for 4 pints. So I guess that means 1, 2, 3. It's an awful small one. Half. Two halves. 4, 5, 6. So we're going to put 1 clove of garlic in each. That's the fun part. dill can float around, but we want the cucumber or the garlic to be just below the surface, and we don't want it to float. Ooh, good catch. Thank you. This is a 1/2 inch of headspace, so 1/2 inch would be just above this lip. 1 inch is, and I hope my head's not in the way, is basically this little ring that you probably can't see here. So if we're going for a 1/2 inch headspace, we don't want to be above this lip by much. So that's what we're going to go for. Yes, I know it'd be easier if I had a ladle, but the ladle is in the dishwasher. So we're working with what we have. And just a spritz more. Yeah, we can go here more than that too. There we go. It's about a 1/2 inch. Make sure the rim's clean. Grab a new lid. Put a band on it. Make sure she's semi-tight. And then we're just going to drop it right into the can. And then we're going to repeat. I could probably do this without the canning ring or the canning funnel, but this way I don't have to be as accurate with pouring it into the jar. Until I need to be accurate pouring out of the cucumbers because of their size. They're bigger, so they don't trap the air in as easily. So all I do is I get it in there, get the lid on, give it a little spin, and we're good. So it's 6 quarts. That's 3 of dilly beans and 3 of dilly pickles. Got that on high right now, coming up to temp. There's our pickles. Just gonna let that sit there because we're gonna do at least one more batch before I get into, or one more batch of stuff before I get into more. But that'll be almost instantly for you. For me, it'll probably be tomorrow. All right.